Well, hello, you're watching Gmodism, we're back into From the Depth. So, where should you keep your air gap? Well, we had some discussions in our Discord, so we'll obviously need to test this. Now, this is a little special type armor. I'm going to make a piece of armor that's pretty standard, and we're going to use this standard piece to test. First, we're gonna load my platform with APS test, and this is a beautiful little APS system that's very versatile, and some armor test. Now I'm going to get rid of this and set up another little, well, testing facility, or another like test armor, because this is and this gun is a little bit too strong as well, as you can see. So we're going to do a very little traditional armor scheme, just for testing. Some people say you should have the air gap in very close to the outside of the armor, and some people say you should have it in the middle. Actually, most of our people in our Discord says that you should have it in the middle, and some people say you should have it in the very back. And these are different ways of thinking to kind of mitigate damage from certain types of shots. So we're going to design the different things here. All of them, they're going to have a Spall liner. So that's what we're going to do, like this. We don't need to do them this wide. Let's see here, how wide should they be? It should be enough with a 4x4 actually. 4x4 little armor plate thing. Alright. Right, so we have developed some armor pieces here. I've kept it pretty simple in the beginning, just like this. So we have 1 meter of metal, 1 meter of wood, and here we have a layer of beam slopes. And this is the armor scheme I would use. Of course, this is a lot thicker metal armor than you would normally use. Perhaps you would use some other cheaper internal armor like stone or something like that, or even exchange all of these with a layer of heavy armor, but whatever. This is just for testing and to see more easily what will get through and how they will deal damage. So thus we have the same type of pattern here. Here we have it in the middle of the armor. So we have a Spall liner here. We have 3 meters of metal instead. We have a Spall liner. We have the beam slopes. And on this last one, we have it in the very back. We have the beam slopes here, a little thing to give it an armor buff and back it up, Spall liner, and just a thick 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, that's 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 meters of metal. Then I just wanted to test this thing. What happens if we use applique panels instead of the beam slopes? So everyone used beam slopes before. Some people used applique for this, and I haven't seen that in a really long while, and I don't really remember why nobody uses the appliques. These are cheaper, by the way, a little bit cheaper than these. The beam slopes cost 10 material, and one full, I don't know, plate costs 8, so it's a little bit different. In any case, that's what we're going to test. Now, we generally recommend everyone to use Spall liners. That's everyone uses that, but I think we may try and remove the Spall liner for subsequent tests a little bit, just to see if it improves the damage pattern from HESH or heat or not. But in any case, I'm going to put this on a smart piston system so we can easily switch between armor, so it will be easier to change ammo types. Okay, up to testing. So I set up these for G, H, J, K, and L. By the way, I think I'm gonna put this on workshops, so check in the description. If you wanna use this little facility later on, when I publish the video, I think I uploaded it. Also, if you didn't know, if you want all the stuff, all my templates, all my vehicles, everything available to you easily, well, if you become a commissioned officer in the army of Gmodism, you'll get access to all that, and it's for all levels, so it's like $1 a month, and you'll have a update. You'll have access to a continually updated folder. Just wanted to put that in. Okay, so G, if I press H, oh my god, J, yes, K, Is it? No, 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 wait. This isn't... Okay, I need to check where the shot will hit. So this doesn't work, okay. So G... Okay. H... Oh, we need to add a meter. Oh, yeah, it's okay, I know. I have them extend with an increment of like 4 meters, and I'll need to add a meter. That's why. So let's see here. This is gonna be, and this is then 10, I think, and this is then this one. This is 3 more, so it's like 15, right? And this one, 16. What is this? This is like 4 more, isn't it? So isn't this like 20? Oh, that's full. Okay, let's see if this works then. Okay. It's a, you know, we have to do some testings to... Sometimes you just forget. So, G, H, J. Wait. Why? Don't tell me... Has it reached its max length? It has, hasn't it? Current extension. 12 meters, damn it. You know what? It's so easy to change the armor of the first little plate here, so we'll just modify that later. So we basically have 3 different modes, and I'm going to add this thing. Let's see here. We need to find a tether point. Oh, it somehow has a tether point, doesn't it? Well, that's really nice. So I think we are going to scale it down. I just want this little visual representation on where exactly the shot will come. So kind of a little rod here in the air. I thought that would be pretty cool. Alright, I think we have a pretty good little testing facility. So let us set up the ammos. Alright, so this is my regular APS testing platform, which I don't think I released this publicly. I think it's only for the commissioned officers so far, but now you get the version with some movable armor, so that's cool, every one of you. Well, in any case, this is a railgun setup. It uses 8 meter clips, and that's just for simplicity. It can use the max size. You can fire the shot by pressing the T button. Well, it's pretty clear here if you just hover over these things here, T, G, H, L, G, L, blah. Anyways, you'll see them there very simply. So we're going to set up a reasonable shell. Now this is either strong, we don't want it this strong, we're going to limit it. We're gonna say it's a 200mm gun because that's very normal. Gonna turn down the fire rate a little bit here. And we are going to we're gonna see how fast this shot will be. It's 1800. Now that's pretty quick. We're gonna drag it down to 1500, and we're going to use an accuracy buff to reach this level here, right? So I think we have a pretty decent setup there, and here we have the shots. So I wrote a little list here. We're gonna try armor piercing high explosive, armor piercing. We're gonna try HESH. We're gonna try heat. We're gonna try armor piercing heat, AP heat. We're gonna skip sabot because sabot is a very hard counter to any type of armor. It ignores the angles, so it doesn't give you an accurate representation doing something like that, I think. Alright, so this has, we can set it to be this, somewhere like that. I'm gonna try and keep them all far at approximately 1500 meters per second. Alright, And we'll do like this, and we're going to... Alright, ladies and gentlemen, here comes our testing. Right, we begin with the armor piercing, simple armor piercing. So, we are going to do like this, set it to G, and I think we can just do the normal tests like this then. So, fire. Alright, didn't get through. Age, okay. Fire didn't get through, but it got a little bit further in. And we have J. Oh god, now I'm repairing. And it didn't get through either. Now we need to... Now I'm being very confused, because I need to turn off the repairing, auto repairing, so we can have better results. So let's do this again here. We'll look a little bit closer. Remember, this is normal AP. Alright, so what happened here? Well, honestly, it looks like, for kinetic rounds, it looks like my preferred armor scheme is preferable. And I'm mostly afraid of kinetic shells, so that's good to hear. Then I know that some people thought I was like really wrong in the Discord, and then I can at least tell you that I can prove to you that there is some niche cases where we would like to use this type of outer air gap. And why do we have an air gap here? Well, and now why does this help with kinetic shells? Well, you can see this is an angle here. The shots come in and penetrates, and it bounces off that surface, and it deals less damage to sequescent blocks. And it's actually measurable. This damage difference is measurable. We can do the test again, but we're going to, let's see, removed. Damage debugging, projectile effects. Alright, we'll do this again. So, fire. No, this one. And fire. So here we can see it goes through like that. I don't remember if there is... I think we can like click this thing here. Penetration. It should say something about angles, should it not? Like this thing here. Block health, 45-degree impact angle. Yeah, so there you can see, there we have that one. 45-degree impact. Yeah, so of course it helps there. Anyways, so I will call this one. This is a shallow air gap. So this is S, shallow. This is the middle air gap, M, middle, and this is the deep air gap for D. So I will refer to them as shallow, middle, and deep in the future. So for AP, we can see that AP, just only AP, shallow is best, middle is second best, and deep is the worst. So now we should actually do. I want to do this thing. Let us just remove this air gap, or remove this. No, wait, this doesn't matter. I'm sorry. For this particular area, we should of course try and remove the air gap when we actually have something with spalling, or remove the spall liner when we are dealing with spalling, because if we remove this, yeah, we'll just get deeper into the metal. That's the only difference. Yeah, sorry. Sometimes I confuse myself, but let's go here and check the next type of shell. So here we have armor piercing, and perhaps we should try and do an armor piercing high explosive. So we're gonna see if we can get away with only explosive blocks like this. It's gonna be a pretty explosive round. And we will need to do like this. APS shells, go to the APS and see here. How fast will this shot be? Let's boost it to around 1500. Alright, so now we do the armor piercing high explosive. Let the test begin. Boom. Next. Boom. Next. Boom. So this is of course a completely different shell. It seems that for some reason this type of armor scheme that I made here works better, and that's of course the same. This is a kinetic round in the like it's only slightly better. We should be like true to that. It's only slightly better, but it is a tiny bit better because of course the armor piercing shell gets hits an angle and then it kind of doesn't penetrate the subsequent blocks as well. But that's common sense. And the reason we want to have that inside the armor, and that's only because sometimes you may not be able to have your outer armor like in a good angle. So of course it's even better if your outer armor is in a sharp angle, but a lot of the times it is not, and then you can have internal angles like this. And wedges work even better, of course. We're just going to... I'm just gonna perform this test again, just to make sure it's not a fluke and that we can see similar results if we do them like 3 times. Yeah, so for armor piercing high explosive, testing is complete, and it's the same result as the armor piercing. Best is the shallow, middle is the middle, and worst is the deep. Now we're going to do the fun stuff of trying some. We're going to do the HESH first, actually. HESH is a good shell that a lot of people think is a really super cool secondary thing. So we're going to make sure we load that in there. And the HESH is a good, you know, it can really destroy some things internal inside ships. So it's gonna be interesting to see, because here in particular, folks have said that the shallow one is not so good. So let's fire the first round. I wonder, maybe we should check what speed we're on at. Of course, speed doesn't matter for this shell, but just for fun, it's the same shell speed, okay. Right, so here's one shot. It got completely, like, that was not very dangerous, okay? So next armor piece. Is it just me, or did that do more damage? And the last one, the deep. Remove 2 blocks from the inside. Nothing really got in. So that's good information. We're gonna do this test again. So it seems that, well, this was the closest one to actually get through. The middle one and the shallow one did absolutely not get through in any way. We can see it looks like it dealt slightly more damage to that block in the middle here in that time, but, you know, basically no difference. It seems that this is a very small difference. It doesn't really matter unless, you know, you should probably keep it not deep when we're dealing with HESH, it seems like. Anyways, we're gonna do this. 2, 3, 4, 5. So it got through here. During 5 blasts, it got through. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ah, and look here. Now we're eating through more armor on the outside, so it didn't get through. So if we're dealing with, if we're getting a lot of HESH shells at the same area, we'll have some problems. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wow. Okay, so when it comes to dealing with HESH shells, we should absolutely not have it in the back. It seems like. So we're gonna repair this again. We're gonna try once more. 1, 2... Okay, sorry. 3, 4. Let me check how many shots does it take to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the 2 last shots completely get through, but then we can talk about the likelihood of a shot shooting at the exact same spot. So for a 200mm, pretty strong HESH shell, it needs to hit 3 times at the same area, and the 4th and 5th time it actually goes through. So I see, Belkin took this point up in our Discord, and I see your point that if we have a shallow air gap, the HESH might get through pretty early, and I would agree with that, but it's not so early that it seems to be a big problem, actually. Anyways, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, no problems at all. We shoot 5 shots, we're still not through. 6, 7, 8. So it takes 8 shots for it to get through. Now, we do cross damage some blocks here, but it should be no big deal since we're shooting a little bit off here. So, anyways, 1, 2, 3, wow, 4, 5. So this deals more internal damage, and we are less able to protect against we're less able to protect against this in the deep one. So I would say that the deep armor for the HESH is actually the worst. The medium is definitely the best, and the shallow one is the next best, because remember it took several shots to the same spot to actually get through there. 1 shot, no problem. 2 shot, some problem, almost. 3 shot, okay. If we get shot the same place here, we're having issues. Just to make sure, this is not cross damage now, so let's try again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Don't do a deep air gap when we're faced with HESH, is my conclusion to this thing. It was very interesting to see. Then I know that my shallow armor actually has a good merit. Now, of course, I thought so, because we can just show you my prefabs here. I've developed a new set of armor prefabs. Like, here we have some old ones here, but this is... Now, we're not going to test these armors in this tests, maybe in the future. This is my standard hull armor, so we can see it has some natural floatiness, and it's still not super expensive, and we have some really sharp wedges in there. And I have some 2-meter ones to save materials, and some 3-meter ones to provide more connection points. And then I made a little shallower armor like this thing. And I made, oh god, this is my heavy naval direct hit capable hull armor class B. This is some insanely strong armor. You're not getting through that too easily. Of course, you'll get through anything with a large enough railgun or cram cannon, but it's hard to get through. In any case, let's continue with the tests, and again, because I want to support myself doing this work, I am again reminding you that if you can and are willing to support the channel, you can get access to all my templates. Because I want to do YouTube full time. That would be real cool. In any case, let's continue with the tests. Stop talking about stuff you already talked about 20 times, Gmodism. Nobody wants to listen. All day. Maybe some. Shape charge. So next out, we're doing heat. Heat and HESH is similar, but heat is more shaped, and heat cares less about stuff like Spall lining and that stuff. I think my assessment is that the middle one... My assessment is actually that my shallow armor will be the best, the middle will be the next best, and the deep will be the worst for heat. But I may be wrong. So, this changed this balance of copper. We should keep it at 0.5 because this is the default. Low means lower depth of penetration, but higher spall. Maybe we can try both, actually. Alright. This should have the same speed, we're just checking to make sure. Right. So, let the test begin here. 1 shot. 2. Or the next one, rather. Huh. Wow. It's not getting through, is it? Wow. Seems I was completely wrong here. I'm gonna... Why does it not get through at all? Wow. That's really cool. So if you want to protect against heat, you should definitely have some deep armor, it seems like. And this armor? Wow, okay. Man, that was really interesting to see. Then we have the niche use for deep armor. Wow, okay. Right, so we're gonna perform this test a little bit again here. APS, yes. All right. So we're gonna begin with this. We're doing 5 shots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Middle one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wow. Oh, sorry. Now I misclicked. J, okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's just not getting through. Okay, we're gonna change the penetration depth factor, but we probably already see exactly where this goes. Gonna set it to max. Shaped charge head, yes. Repair all APS shells so we're reloaded. Get back to G and say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It takes a lot of shots to actually get through here, like completely. And this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Just imagining thermal damage that would cause some scary stuff. And this thing. So when it comes to the wait, what? Whoa. Wow. It's worse now. What the hell? Oh no, it only takes 2 shots for it to get through. Man, that's insane. So the deep air gap can completely protect you. A deep air gap can completely protect against a heat shell, making it having no teeth. Let me just do like this again, so it's not a fluke. Yeah, so if the penetration factor is low, wow, okay. This would just make me always have the penetration factor to 1. This changes everything. I need to go through all my turrets and make sure that the penetration factor is to 1, because if anyone has deep armor, or like thick armor, this is gonna get through it. Wow. Okay, so let us do the tests again then, because it seems that yes, you can protect against heat shots completely, but yeah, okay. Now they seem to be a little bit similar. Okay, we're gonna do some proper counting here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Here we have 7 shots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so when the penetration factor is like this, The shallow armor is actually best, the middle armor is the next best, and the deep armor is the worst. However, if we change the penetration factor to 0.5, like this, it changes. Then it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Still worst. 7. Alright. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the middle one is still like really bad. But the deep one is the strongest. And the medium one is the worst. And this the shallow one, the deep is the strongest, the medium is the like average or like kind of bad, and the shallow one, no, shallow one is the medium okay here. So basically, if we have the penetration, so I'm gonna go through here. If the penetration factor is on 1, then the shallow armor, the shallow air gap is the best. If the penetration factor is on 1, the medium, the middle air gap is kind of averagely bad, and the deep air gap is absolutely the worst. When instead the penetration factor is 0.5, the minimum, the default, the deep air gap is the best, and the shallow one is the mediocre, and the middle one is the absolutely worst. So then we have that. That was really interesting. So now I know. Wow, another point for my shallow air gap. Right. So middle air gap is pretty okay in many cases too, but I don't see any like real bad thing with a shallow air gap. Like I am right now. I'm pretty sold on the idea. If someone can prove me absolutely wrong, well, I may change my mind. So let's make some kind of secondary shaped charge. Now, I don't know how to make a secondary shaped charge. So let's see here. Secondary. We're gonna check some values. What's this now? Armor piercing head. Kinetic. Okay, kinetic damage. 0. Why? Why is it like this? Oh, rail draw, right. Here we go. Rail draw to 1500-ish. Alright, so now we have a armor piercing class of 36. I think we need to amp that up a little bit. We'll add another solid warhead. That didn't work, but we did some more. Okay. I think this is probably fine. Shape charge, pretty strong. Some armor piercing, we do some good damage before that. Apparently this shell is pretty popular. I don't know. I honestly never used it. We're gonna see... Yeah, it's kind of 1500 like this. We're gonna refill APS shells. Start from the beginning and shoot. Bam! Ooh! Scary stuff, man. Oh no! Okay, I think I understand why people use this shell. Wow! Alright. We have a use, ladies and gentlemen, we have a use for a deep air gap. We finally found a area where we actually would want to have a deep air gap. Man, that was real scary. Alright, so do that once more. We're actually gonna do this in slow motion. Okay. Fire! Bam! Man, this is insane. Uh-oh. Right. Okay. Next one. Line up and fire. Bam! Oh wow, okay. And then finally we'll do the deep one. It seems that the shallow one is better than the mill one. Why is that? Bam. It got cancelled. Look at that. Well, that's some pretty useful information. So when it comes to an armor-piercing heat shell, we're going to do this again, by the way. Speed it up, do like this, make sure it's the same results. Repair, bam, bam, bam. Yeah, it's these results. So I don't know, it gets deeper here. It's hard to say which one of these is worst. I'll just see if we can analyze. I can't see any difference there. So I guess the deep one is the absolutely best one. The shallow one is the medium. And the middle air gap is the worst because it got through a little bit deeper here. And that would leave it open for other types of damage. So that's how I would class it. That's all super interesting. I feel like now we should try and remove some air gaps just to see if what difference it can make. Getting through there, of course. Getting through here, of course. And getting through there, of course. Okay, so... Wow! I honestly didn't think that Spall liner was so important when you had really thick armor. That's some really good information. So the Spall liner really helps here. Okay. So, if you're using deep armor to protect against spalls, you'll need that Spall liner. Otherwise, you'll be wrecked anyways. Man, that's scary. Just get through. See there. That's pretty interesting. It's like not enough. Oh, it's because it's penetrating. Wait, what? So, let me test this again. Because I wonder if we just had enough kinetic damage. If we just absorb the kinetics. Oh man. Look at that. That additional layer of wood. Yeah. So, okay. Okay, so we might have reached to some wrong conclusions here. The Spall liner may not actually be important at all. If we just add a lot of wood in the beginning. No. If the Spall liner... Wait, let's do wood first. 3 meters of extra wood. Wrong thing. It still gets through. Okay. That's interesting. Now, it can probably be a... It still gets through. Okay, so it's not... But on this thing... But this has a lot more health then. Huh. Right, so what if we add this? Okay, it seems that the Spall liner is not the thing, because otherwise that would have been... no issue. If we replace this with some heavy armor instead... Alright, so basically, if you're having deep armor to protect against armor-piercing heat, just have enough blocks to absorb that kinetic damage, because otherwise your deep armor will not give you anything, and you might as well have used a normal shallow armor. However, I do think that, if I remember correctly there, the HESH is where it's more important to have a Spall liner here. So, we're going to do it like that, repair all, and we're going to make sure we have refilled that APS shell. We're gonna shoot. So we have no Spall liner. 1, 2, 3, through. 1, 2, 3. Okay, we're through on 3. We're going to test it with the spalls later. 1, 2, 3. We're not getting through though. Look. Yeah, because HESH was the best one for this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 or 7 it gets through on. So the mill air gap was actually the best for the HESH in the earlier tests as well. 1, 2, 3, 4. It just deals so wide damage. It's kind of weird. Yeah, so the results are the same, or are they? Wait, let me check this one again, because this one, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's on 4 shots, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Getting through on 4. 1, 2, 4. Yeah, okay. And on this it's 1, 2, 3. Alright, so actually when we don't have a Spall liner, the deeper type of armor works better. And I think that's because some of that damage, the Spall liner does so that the HESH shells deal less damage when they pop in there. So they basically make them a little bit, well, less scary. Now, everyone says you should have a Spall liner, and this can be a proof of it. Because if we don't have a Spall liner, we have some issues. 1, 2, 3. We're still getting through on 3. 1, 2, 3. 7, right. And the last one is getting through on 3, 4. Ooh, I know why. When we have it like this, when we have a wood and block here, the spalls get closer to this beam here, yeah? When we have a block of wood, the spalls will spawn from the wood, they spawn closer and thus deal more damage. And that's why. That's why when we have a deep armor, it's actually beneficial to have distance in the outer armor. It's always beneficial to have distance, but when we're talking Spall liners, the shallow, like the outer layer armor needs to be not too thick, because otherwise the spalling will basically give you no bonus. And that's kind of why. When it's shallow like this, the spalls gives us some bonus, and that's, you know, that's real handy. So let's continue and just check how it works with Applic. If we exchange these again for Applics instead, 1, 2, 3. Still got through on 3. Make sure it's true. 2, 3. Yep. 1, 2, 3. 6, 7. Same. 1, 2, 3. So, no big deal, no big difference. Using Applic, it works pretty well too, but they don't give you that bonus against... they don't give any bonus against kinetics. You know, the angles actually gives you a bonus against kinetics, and that's the thing. So let's try heat with Applic instead, or Applic also, just to check that. Repair all, refill, APS, go to this. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. I don't know, it's probably through on this account. 1, 2, 3, 4, oh, 5. Definitely through on 5. So, the shallow one is better here too. 1. Oh man, 1. Okay. So, basically, same results. What if you use poles here, and then we have some kind of weird double gap? This should not be very good. If it's not hitting dead on, that is. Seems that it is hitting dead on. So in this case, the pole actually acts as... Oh, no it didn't. Okay. Well, no big deal, but we basically don't have a Spall liner. That's 2. Alright. So, no big difference there. Some difference indeed, less penetration when we have a pulse there. But basically we can have different air gaps there. Now, I do want to try this thing out. What if I added some internal armor? Like, what I usually have as internal armor is actually some of this. And possibly some stone. So, if we go back here and go and set up one of those armor piercing secondary shaped charges penetration factor to max, because that's more scary. Oh, that's something I do want to check. If we're having AP heat with a deep penetration factor, how will this armor deal? It doesn't. One shot. One. Wow. That's interesting. 2, 3, 4. 4 or 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Darn. It is not getting through. All right. So when the penetration factor of the AP heat is deep, the deep armor is not good anymore. Then it's the shallow one that's the best. And the medium one and the deep is the last. So it's basically almost like reversed. That's interesting. 0.5. I'm just gonna write that up. That's interesting. Yeah, well, I don't know what you thought about this little armor testing thing, but it seems that a secondary air gap seems to be a good idea actually to have, possibly. And in general, I must say that the shallow armor seems to be, like the shallow air gap, not shallow armor. The shallow air gap seems to be the best. So if I just run the numbers here a little bit quickly, armor piercing high explosive, shallow, medium, deep, and the thing I say first is the best. So armor piercing high explosive, shallow, medium, deep. Armor piercing, same, shallow, medium, deep. HESH, medium, shallow, deep. Heat, shallow, medium, deep. If it's set to 1 penetration factor max. If it's set to certain penetration factor minimum, it's deep, shallow, medium. For dealing with armor piercing heat, the last one we did. If the minimum penetration factor, then it's deep, shallow, medium. And if we're dealing with the max penetration, it's shallow, medium, deep. So there you have it. That's my rundown of the air gap. And after this testing video, in general, I would recommend people to have the air gap in the shallow air gap, basically. To have an air gap in the shallow stages of the armor. And if you don't believe me, at least do it medium. You know? Don't really do deep. It's very niche use. Having a deep air gap seems to be extremely niche use, so it doesn't seem to be very useful. And I must say, a shallow air gap plus a secondary inner air gap, we can probably cut off some armor and have a secondary little air gap before we have internal armor, is probably better than all of this. But if you want to see more armor testings, please do like this video and write in comments what test you want to see next. This is your host, Gmodism, and we are signing out with the word of the commissioned officers in the army of Gmodism. Thanks a lot to our YouTube members, Stellar Gmodism, LCG Canyon, our AOG members, Captain Screwbrooks, Commander Aegean, Lieutenant Asteria, Parberg, Retailer Ross, and LCG Canyon. And we have a couple of cadets too. In any case, thanks a lot. I'll see you next time. This is your host, Gmodism. We're signing out.